I never imagined that the end of my 3-year relationship with Ethan Joe would come in the form of a prayer plaque falling from the sky, a plaque engraved with his name and another woman's name. That day, I was on my period, but he dragged me up the snowy mountain road just to pray for his beloved childhood sweetheart, Olivia Moo. When the plaque hit me, his first reaction was to check if Olivia was scared. At that moment, watching him anxiously protect someone else, I suddenly felt like everything was a joke. On the first day of my period, my lower abdomen ached, and I just wanted to hug a hot water bottle and die in bed. But my boyfriend, Ethan Joe, insisted on dragging me to a shrine on top of a mountain to pray for his childhood sweetheart, Olivia Moo, who had just returned to the country. In the heavy snow, the stone steps were slippery, and he practically dragged me up there. The snowflakes hit my face coldly, and the cold wind cut through me like a knife, intensifying the cramping pain in my lower abdomen. I gritted my teeth and took each step with difficulty. Ethan, I really don't feel well. Can't we come again next time? My voice trembled. He turned back, frowning, his tone with obvious impatience. Ava, don't be a spoilsport. Olivia just came back. This is our habit for many years. For good luck. The Olivia Moo he spoke of was his neighbor's younger sister who grew up with him, and also the existence he always referred to as just a sister. When we reached the top of the mountain, the cold wind was even stronger. I was shivering from the cold, and the abdominal pain almost made me unable to stand. Ethan, however, enthusiastically dragged Olivia to pick out prayer plaques. I watched them standing side by side, their intimate appearance as they whispered and laughed, and my heart felt like it was being soaked in ice water. Just then, a strange gust of wind blew past. A wooden prayer plaque hanging on the branch of an old tree swayed and wobbled, and actually fell straight down. It hit me right on the forehead. The sharp wooden corner cut through my skin, and warm liquid instantly flowed down, blurring my eyes. I groaned in pain, instinctively covering my forehead. Ethan and Olivia turned around at the same time. I thought Ethan would rush over to care for me, but he strode in front of Olivia and asked nervously, Olivia, are you okay? Did it scare you? Olivia shook her head in shock, then pointed at me, her voice with a hint of subtle triumph. Ava got hit. Ethan then looked at me, his eyes devoid of worry, only a hint of annoyance. He came over, pulled out a tissue and casually pressed it against my bleeding forehead. How could you be so careless? His tone was accusatory. I looked at him, then at the blessing that had fallen to the ground. On the dark brown wooden, 2 names were clearly engraved, Ethan Joe and Olivia Moo. Next to it, a concentric knot was tied with a red thread. Blood mixed with snow, chillingly cold and ridiculously ironic. This is what he calls auspicious? Using my time with him to pray for a connection between him and another woman? On the way down the mountain, I didn't say a word. The wound on my forehead was still throbbing faintly, but it was far less intense than the dull pain in my heart. Ethan seemed to notice my silence and tried to ease the atmosphere. I was too nervous just now. Olivia, she's timid, he explained. I'll buy you a cup of hot milk tea to warm you up. He walked into a milk tea shop by the roadside. Through the glass window, I watched him order and pay. However, when he came out with the steaming milk tea, he went straight to Olivia, who was standing aside stamping her feet to keep warm. Olivia, drink something hot quickly, don't get frostbite. He stuffed the milk tea into Olivia's hand, his tone as gentle as dripping water. Olivia took it in surprise, holding the milk tea, glanced at me provocatively, and then took small sips. My hands and feet were cold, and my blood seemed to be frozen. Ethan then remembered me and explained awkwardly. I saw that Olivia was very cold, so I gave it to her first. I'll go buy you one. No need, I said coldly, my voice dry. I can see through this little trick of yours. He only bought one drink. From beginning to end, Olivia was the only one on his mind. Back in the car, the atmosphere dropped to freezing. Olivia seemed to think it wasn't enough and suddenly leaned in and gave Ethan a quick kiss on the cheek. Thank you for the milk tea, brother Ethan. She smiled like a pure and innocent white lotus. I was shocked and suddenly looked at Ethan. He was stunned for a moment, then turned his face away somewhat unnaturally, but without any blame or intention to push her away. Tacit approval. I thought of all his demands on me, not to have overly intimate behavior outside, to pay attention to my image, not to let his friends think I am frivolous. So, these rules were only for me. He has no bottom line for Olivia. A strong sense of humiliation welled up in my heart, and I was trembling with anger. Ethan Joe, I finally couldn't hold back. My voice choked with tears. What exactly do you take me for? He seemed startled by my outburst, then frowned and said sternly, Ava Chen, what are you doing again? Just for a cup of milk tea? How can you be so petty and so calculating? Petty? Calculating? Looking at him righteously blaming me, I suddenly felt extremely tired and disgusted. My heart sank completely. It's not because of a cup of milk tea, it's because of your repeated neglect, favoritism, and lies. But I didn't say anything. Arguing was pointless. Back in our shared apartment, I locked myself in the bedroom and went to sleep. The pain of my period, plus being chilled from the snow, I quickly developed a high fever. In the middle of the night, I was frozen awake by waves of chills, my whole body burning, and my head throbbing. The cramping in my lower abdomen was also getting more and more intense. I struggled to reach my phone and dialed Ethan's number. I wanted him to take me to the hospital. The phone rang for a long time before being answered, with some background noise. Hello? Ethan's voice sounded distant and impatient. Ethan, I have a fever. I feel terrible. Could you? My voice was so weak it was almost inaudible. Before I could finish, a delicate female voice suddenly came from the other end of the phone. Ethan, who is it? Calling so late. It's Olivia Moo. My heart sank. Why is she with Ethan so late? Ethan seemed a little flustered and immediately lowered his voice to say to me, I'm busy. I'll hang up if there's nothing else. Wait, Ethan, I really, beep beep beep. The phone was hung up ruthlessly. Busy? Busy taking care of his good little sister? Despair overwhelmed me like a tide. I lay in bed, covered in cold sweat, my consciousness gradually fading. I knew I couldn't count on him anymore. Using the last bit of strength, I dialed 911 with trembling fingers. Address, XX Street, XX number. After reporting the address, the phone slipped from my hand, and I completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was in a hospital bed. The smell of disinfectant permeated the air. The sunlight shone through the window, a little dazzling. I moved my fingers, feeling sore and weak all over. There was gauze on my forehead, throbbing faintly. Ava, you're finally awake. Ethan's voice sounded in my ear. He was sitting by the bed, his face showing anxiety and worry, his eyes bloodshot. The doctor said you had a high fever and acute gastroenteritis, and you were almost in danger. What did you do? His tone carried a trace of lingering fear and blame. I looked at him, my heart completely unmoved, and even felt a little amused. If I had really counted on him last night, I might already be. I didn't have the strength to speak. I just turned my head, my eyes inadvertently falling on his neck. The collar of his shirt was slightly open, and below his collarbone, there was a clear and ambiguous kiss mark. Not mine. Last night, what he called busy was probably rolling around with Olivia Moo. I closed my eyes, a mocking curve appearing at the corner of my mouth. How disgusting. Not long after, the door to the ward was pushed open. Olivia Moo walked in with a bouquet of flowers, a sweet and innocent smile on her face. Sister Ava, I heard you were sick, so I came to see you. She put the flowers in the vase by the bed, but her eyes glanced meaningfully at Ethan. Ethan was so worried last night. He stayed up most of the night looking after you, she said seemingly unintentionally. I advised him to go and rest, but he refused, saying he had to wait for you to wake up. Her words were like needles, piercing my heart. Stayed up all night for me? Coming to watch over me with another woman's kiss marks? Who are you putting on a show for? I couldn't be bothered with her provocation, only staring coldly at the ceiling. Ethan seemed a little uncomfortable and coughed lightly. Olivia, you should go back first. I'll take care of Ava here. Olivia curled her lips, her eyes swept over my fingers, and suddenly she exclaimed, Ah, Sister Ava, where's your ring? I subconsciously looked at my finger. The couple ring that was originally on my ring finger was gone. Ethan immediately explained, your hand was swollen. The ring was uncomfortable, so I helped you put it away, he said, taking a small velvet box out of his pocket. I opened it and saw that inside was a simple plain ring. It wasn't our original wedding band at all. My heart skipped a beat, and I suddenly looked at Olivia. Around her neck, she wore a necklace. The pendant on the necklace was shockingly the male version of the couple ring I lost. It was just altered into the style of a pendant. So, he didn't help me put it away, but directly gave it to his good little sister. He couldn't even bother to make up an explanation? At this moment, I don't even have the strength to be angry. All that's left is endless sadness and numbness. Olivia seemed very satisfied with my reaction, and a victorious smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She intimately took Ethan's arm again and coquettishly said, "Brother Ethan, I haven't eaten your cooking in a long time. When Sister Ava is discharged from the hospital, will you make it for us?" Ethan fondly stroked her nose. "Okay, anything for you," I sneered inwardly. It's not that Ethan can't cook. It's just that he's never been willing to cook for me. We've been together for 3 years, and he's never cooked a single meal. Every time I playfully asked him to cook, he would use "can't" or "too tired" as excuses to refuse. So, it's not that he can't, it's just that I'm not worthy. His tenderness, his privilege, has always belonged only to Olivia Moo. I saw it all clearly. Ethan picked me up from the hospital on the day I was discharged. Olivia came along too. We went to the supermarket to buy things. The supermarket was crowded on the weekend. In a crowded corner, the crowd suddenly surged forward. I was bumped and stumbled, almost falling. Ethan was right beside me, but his subconscious reaction was to immediately shield Olivia in his arms, using his body to separate her from the crowd. I was pushed to the side and awkwardly steadied myself by grabbing onto a shelf. He didn't even look back at me. In his eyes, there was only Olivia he wanted to protect. I looked at their tightly embraced figures, my heart as cold as death. When we were paying the bill, we unexpectedly ran into an acquaintance, Noah Mang. He was Ethan's senior at university, and we had met a few times. Noah greeted us with a smile. "Ethan, what a coincidence. And this is..." His gaze fell on me. I was just about to speak when Ethan took the initiative, put his arm around my shoulder, and smiled with a calm expression. "This is my sister, Ava." My whole body stiffened, and I looked at him in disbelief. We'd been together for 3 years, and he introduced me to everyone as his girlfriend. Now, in front of acquaintances, I have become his sister? Noah was taken aback for a moment, then showed a knowing expression. His eyes swept between us and Olivia, and finally landed on me, his eyes with a bit of inquiry and sympathy. "Hello, Ava." He nodded at me. I forced a smile that was worse than crying. My throat tightened, and I couldn't say a word. Leaving the supermarket and getting into the car, I finally couldn't help but question him. "Ethan, what did you mean just now? Why did you say I was your sister?" Ethan started the car, didn't even look at me, and said in a nonchalant tone, "I did that to protect you. Noah isn't discreet, and I was afraid he would go around spreading rumors, which would have a negative impact on you." "Protect me? Protect me by humiliating me like this? What a joke. He's just afraid others will find out that while he and his childhood sweetheart were having a deep brotherly-sisterly relationship, there was a legitimate girlfriend who was an eyesore." All the lies, all the excuses, became incredibly clear in this moment. I watched the fleeting street scenes outside the window, my heart growing colder bit by bit, until only a desolate wasteland remained. Enough, really enough. This relationship is like a rotten apple. The outside may still look shiny, but the inside is already crawling with maggots. I don't want to deceive myself anymore. In the evening, Ethan probably wanted to make up for it and unusually offered to eat at home. Naturally, Olivia also logically stayed behind. At the dinner table, Ethan diligently put food on my plate, especially a piece of fish. "Ava, you like eating fish the most. Have some more." He spoke gently, as if all the previous unpleasantness had never happened. I looked at the fish in the bowl, and my stomach churned. I like eating fish the most? He's been with me for 3 years, and he doesn't even know that I hate eating fish? I have been allergic to the fishy smell since I was a child, not to mention eating it. I feel sick even when I smell it. I've told him this more than once. What does he remember? Has he ever really understood me? Perhaps what he understands has always just been the me he imagined, or rather, the me that meets his needs. I put down my chopsticks and looked at him calmly. "Ethan, I don't eat fish. I'm allergic." Olivia covered her mouth and giggled. "Brother Ethan, really? How could you forget that Sister Ava doesn't eat fish? Unlike me, I love your braised fish the most." Ethan's face turned ugly instantly. He probably thought I was deliberately undermining him and making him lose face. He stood up abruptly and slammed his chopsticks down. "Ava Chin, what exactly do you want? So what if I forgot you don't eat fish? Do you have to give me such a cold face?" I looked at his embarrassed and angry appearance, and my heart was completely calm. "I don't want to do anything," I said lightly. "I just feel that we may not be really suitable for each other." Ethan's eyes narrowed dangerously. "What do you mean?" "It doesn't mean anything." I stood up. "I'm full. Enjoy your meal." I turned around and went back to the bedroom, closed the door, and shut out everything outside. Before long, I heard the sound of a door slamming from the living room. I walked to the window and saw Ethan with his arm around Olivia's waist, leaving in a huff. A few minutes later, my phone vibrated. It was an Instagram notification. Ethan updated his status. In the photo, brilliant fireworks bloom in the night sky. Ethan hugs Olivia from behind, and they both smile radiantly. The caption reads, "Some beauty is more worth cherishing when it's lost and found again." Below, the comments section is full of blessings. Wow, they're finally together. Childhood sweethearts are the best match. Bless Ethan and Olivia. My name, my existence, seems to have never appeared in his world. This is the answer he gave me. Thorough, straightforward. I took a deep breath, opened the drawer, and took out my phone. Just then, a strange number called. I hesitated for a moment and answered. "Hello, is this Sister Ava?" It was Olivia Moo's triumphant voice. "Did you see the Instagram Ethan posted? We're watching fireworks now. Isn't it beautiful?" I remained silent. "You know what? Ethan said he's never been happier than he is now." Olivia's voice was full of boasting. "He said being with you was too tiring, always having to coax you and consider your feelings. It's much easier and more comfortable being with me," he also said. I hung up the phone directly. A few seconds later, my WhatsApp started popping up messages like crazy. They were all from Olivia. Intimate photos of her and Ethan, kissing on the beach, feeding each other in a restaurant, hugging in matching pajamas at home. There are also records of them traveling to various places together, with a time span that even includes the period when Ethan and I were together. So, without my knowing, they had already been secretly seeing each other, gone to so many places, and left behind so many wonderful memories. I was like a fool, kept in the dark. The last message is a piece of text. Ava Chen, stop bothering Ethan. You know he only has me in his heart, and you're still clinging to him. Don't you think you're acting like a mistress? You're shameless, mistress? I trembled with anger at this upside-down, slanderous accusation. Who exactly is the mistress? After the anger, there was utter coldness and resolution. I blankly blocked all of Ethan and Olivia's contact information, phone, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. Then, I dragged a box from under the bed. Inside were the love letters Ethan had written to me over the past 3 years, and the gifts he had given me. What I once treasured now seemed incredibly ironic. I took out those love letters, tore them up one by one without hesitation, and threw them into the trash can. I also packed up those gifts, ready to throw them away. Finally, I opened the closet and started packing my luggage. I don't want to stay in this place full of lies and betrayal for even a second longer. Paid content hint, the female lead is determined to leave. Her ex-boyfriend is about to find out and start panicking. The refreshing counterattack is about to begin, and the reader's expectations are maxed out, ****. I moved quickly and packed all my belongings in less than an hour, 2 large suitcases and a backpack. Looking around this apartment that was once full of laughter but now only holds cold memories, I have no regrets. I took a sticky note from my bag and wrote a few words. We broke up. I wish you and her happiness. No accusations, no cursing, just the most calm statement. I put the sticky note on the most conspicuous coffee table in the living room, next to the plain ring he gave me. Then, I dragged my suitcase and left this place without looking back. It was still snowing outside. I called a ride-hailing car and went straight back to my parents' home. My mom was startled when I showed up at the door, dragging my exhausted body and 2 large suitcases. "Cha-cha, what are you?" Seeing the gauze on my forehead and my pale face, she immediately understood what had happened. She pulled me into the house and asked with concern, "What happened? Did you quarrel with Ethan? Did he bully you?" I couldn't hold back any longer, and I threw myself into my mother's arms, crying loudly. The emotions that had been building up for so long finally found an outlet at this moment. Mom didn't ask much, just held me, gently patted my back, and comforted me silently. After I had cried enough and my emotions had calmed down a bit, Mom poured me a glass of hot water and asked softly, "What exactly happened?" I told my mom everything that had happened these past few days, from beginning to end, from being forcibly dragged to a prayer ceremony during my period, to being hit by a prayer plaque, to the milk tea incident, to him hanging up on my call for help, to the hickey on my neck, the replaced ring, the sister address at the supermarket, and finally, that breakup-like Instagram post. After listening, my mom was so angry that her face turned ashen. "That bastard, how dare he treat you like this?" My mom caressed my forehead with heartache. I thought Ethan was glib and unreliable from the beginning, but you wouldn't listen, Mom. My voice choked. Okay, let's not talk about him anymore. Mom wiped away my tears. Leaving him was the right thing to do. That kind of scumbag isn't worth a single tear from you. It's good that you're home. Mom and Dad will take care of you. Under the care of my parents, I rested at home to recover, and my body and mood gradually improved. One afternoon a few days later, I went to the supermarket near my home to buy things. In the fresh food section, I unexpectedly ran into Noah Mang again. He saw me too and walked over to say hello. Hi, Ava, what a coincidence. Senior Noah, I smiled a little awkwardly. You look much better. He looked at the wound on my forehead that was almost healed. Yeah, thanks. Last time at the supermarket. He paused, as if considering his words. Ethan, you guys. I understood what he meant and said frankly, we've broken up. A trace of understanding flashed in Noah's eyes, followed by relief. I see. I thought it was a bit strange that day. He didn't ask any more questions, just chatted with me casually for a few sentences. Before leaving, he said with a smile, my home is near here. My grandmother is your neighbor. We might run into each other often in the future. I was a little surprised. I didn't expect him to be the grandson of Grandma Zhang, our neighbor. In the days that followed, I did indeed frequently run into Noah. Sometimes it was downstairs in the residential area, sometimes in a nearby cafe, and sometimes while taking a walk in the park. He always appeared at just the right moment, greeting me with warmth and politeness, and chatting for a few words. He started asking me out for meals and movies. I understood what he meant, but I had just gone through a failed relationship and didn't want to start a new one for the time being. I him several times. Noah, I'm not in the mood for a relationship right now. He didn't force it either, just smiled and said, it's okay, I can wait. We can start as friends first. He was still like a gentle friend, keeping a proper distance, yet silently accompanying me. Just as my life was gradually returning to calm, Ethan Zhou came to my door like a persistent ghost. That afternoon, Noah and I met at a coffee shop to chat. We had just sat down when Ethan rushed in. He looked much more haggard, with a stubbly beard, sunken eyes, and the smell of alcohol on him. He walked straight to me, his eyes red, and begged in a hoarse voice, Ava, please come back? I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Everyone in the cafe looked over. I frowned and looked at him coldly. Ethan Zhou, we've broken up. No, I don't agree to break up. He became agitated and reached out to grab my arm. Noah quickly stepped in front of me, blocking Ethan's hand. Ethan, please calm down. Noah's voice was calm and powerful. Ethan saw Noah, and his eyes instantly turned red, as if he had been greatly stimulated. It's you again. He pointed at Noah, then turned to me. Ava, you found a replacement so quickly? Is he that brother of yours? He actually still remembers that term. Sister, little sister? Noah sneered and retorted without politeness. Ethan Zhou, what right do you have to say that? Back at the supermarket, who was it who said Ava was your sister? Now you're back to pester her. Don't you think it's pathetic? Ethan choked and couldn't speak, his face alternating between green and white. The surrounding discussions grew louder and louder. Ethan seemed to be driven to desperation, and suddenly, with a thump, he knelt down in public. Ava, he crawled on his knees to me, trying to hug my leg. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Olivia and I admit, I was confused for a moment, but the person I love has always been you. Ava, forgive me this time. Can we start over? He was in tears, looking incredibly sincere. A hubbub broke out in the cafe. The uninformed masses began to whisper, and the way they looked at me became a little strange. I looked at Ethan kneeling on the ground, weeping bitterly, trying to play the role of a deeply affectionate prodigal son, and I just felt nauseous. Love me? Is his love dragging me up a snowy mountain during my period, watching me get injured without any reaction, hanging up my lifeline call, sleeping with someone else, giving our couple's ring to someone else, and calling me sister in front of friends? I can't afford this cheap and selfish love. Ethan Zhou, I stood up, looking down at him, my voice cold and firm. Stop with your hypocritical act. We are over a long time ago. I've given you too many chances. It was you who repeatedly trampled my trust underfoot. From now on, we go our separate ways, and have nothing to do with each other. After saying that, I didn't look at him again and said to Noah, let's go. Noah nodded and escorted me out of the cafe. Behind me, I heard Ethan's heart-wrenching cries. Some people, Once missed, are missed, not worth any sympathy or nostalgia. I thought things would end there. Unexpectedly, that scene in the cafe was filmed and posted online. The video was maliciously edited, retaining only the segments of Ethan kneeling and crying bitterly, pleading, and my indifferent departing figure. The title was even more sensational. Devoted boyfriend kneels to beg for reconciliation. Heartless girlfriend mercilessly leaves with new love. For a time, online public opinion exploded. Netizens who didn't know the truth accused me of being gold-digging, heartless, and a green tea bitch, and cursed me as a modern-day Pangelian. Ethan Joe was portrayed as a devoted lover who humbled himself for love. Noah was also dragged into it and was called male cheater and Mr. Secondhand. The foul language was appalling. My social media accounts were exposed, and I received countless harassing private messages and malicious comments. Some people even found my home address and my parents' workplaces and harassed them. I didn't expect things to develop to this point. Ethan's affectionate performance actually brought me such terrible consequences. Noah was also very worried about me and offered to help me find a lawyer to handle it. I refused. This matter started because of Ethan, and he must be the one to end it. I sent him a message, asking him to come out and talk. He replied quickly, his tone carrying a hint of barely perceptible anticipation and glee. He probably thought I was driven to desperation by the online bullying and wanted to make peace with him. We met in a quiet tea room private room. Ethan looked much better, and had even taken care to groom himself. He looked at me, his eyes full of affection and determination. Ava, I knew you would come looking for me. He tried to take my hand, but I avoided it. I know you're still angry. It's all my fault. He lowered his stance. Don't worry about the things online. I will take care of them. As long as you come back to my side, everything will pass. Return to his side? I looked at his hypocritical face and only felt ridiculous. Ethan Joe, I said bluntly, the videos and rumors online have caused great trouble for me, my family, and my friends. I demand that you immediately and publicly issue a statement clarifying the truth. Clarify? Ava, the situation is very sensitive right now. My speaking out will only make things worse. Netizens will only think I'm being forced by you. He frowned. Besides, it will also affect my reputation. Reputation? At this point, he still cares about his ridiculous reputation. He doesn't care at all what I've endured, doesn't care how Noah and I have been smeared. He only cares about himself. His selfish and self-serving nature is completely exposed. So, for the sake of your reputation, you can sacrifice me and let me and my family be cyberbullied? I sneered. Ethan Joe, you have truly refreshed my understanding of shamelessness. His face changed, and he tried to defend himself. Ava, that's not what I meant. Enough, I interrupted him. I'm giving you one last chance. Either you issue a statement to clarify now, or I will do it myself. Ethan's eyes flickered, hesitant. He was clearly unwilling to damage his carefully cultivated affectionate image for me. Ava, do you have to do this? Looks like you're not going to clarify. I stood up and took out my phone. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. Ethan seemed to have a premonition and his face changed drastically. Ava, what do you want to do? The smile on Ethan's face froze. I ignored him, directly opened the social media app, and released all the evidence I had already prepared in one go, including Ethan and Olivia's intimate photo in front of the prayer plaques, a photo of the hickey on his neck. I secretly took it when I pretended to be asleep in the hospital. Those intimate photos and travel record screenshots Olivia sent me. Screenshots of chat logs where Olivia falsely accused me of being a mistress. The supermarket surveillance footage of him protecting Olivia but ignoring me, which I got from the supermarket. And, most importantly, the recording of Ethan admitting to having an affair with Olivia, but claiming he only loves me, which I secretly recorded when he knelt down at the cafe last time. I edited a long article, clearly stating the ins and outs of the matter, with all the evidence attached. Finally, I wrote, I once loved sincerely, and I also tried to maintain it, but betrayal and lies shattered all trust. The breakup was proposed by me, and the scene at the cafe was not my intention. I reserve the right to pursue legal action for cyberbullying. From now on, let's be well and not disturb each other. At Ethan Joe at Olivia Moo. Click to send. I put away my phone and glanced at Ethan, who was pale and trembling. Ethan Joe, you asked for this. I turned and left, never looking back. My counterattack, like a blockbuster bomb, instantly exploded the internet. The netizens who had scolded me the most fiercely before rushed to my feed to apologize. Holy crap, an earth-shattering reversal. So the scumbag and the mistress are this disgusting. I feel sorry for this young lady. She was bullied by the scumbag and the mistress together. This man is such a jerk, cheating and still pretending to be a devoted lover. Disgusting. The mistress is even more despicable, stealing someone else's boyfriend and then slandering them as the mistress. Support this girl in protecting her rights. Sue these scumbags to death. Ethan and Olivia's social media accounts have completely fallen, being scolded by angry netizens to the point of closing comments. The matter did not end there. Someone recognized Ethan as the president of the student union of a well-known university, and Olivia as the campus belle of the same school. Angry students and alumni reported Ethan to the school for his chaotic private life, moral corruption, and for setting a bad example for the school. Soon, the university officially issued a notice. After investigation, student Ethan Joe was found to have seriously violated school rules and regulations, with a negative impact. He was given a suspension for reflection, and further processing will be carried out based on the investigation results. Ethan's bright future was cast under a thick shadow, and I finally escaped this farce, and life returned to peace. Time flies, and it's New Year's Eve in the blink of an eye. Outside the window, heavy snow is falling, and every household is decorated with lanterns and colored banners, filled with a festive atmosphere. My family, along with Noah, who was warmly invited by my mother, are sitting around the table eating a steaming New Year's Eve dinner. The atmosphere is warm and harmonious. Suddenly, a burst of frantic shouting came from downstairs. Ava Chen, I know I was wrong. Come down and see me, Ava. It's Ethan Joe's voice. I frowned and walked to the window to look down. I saw Ethan wearing thin clothes, standing in the heavy snow, looking up, calling my name over and over again. His hair and shoulders were covered with snow, and he looked disheveled and crazy. How did he find this place? And on New Year's Eve? Mom saw it too and was furious. This persistent ghost. I'm going to chase him away. Mom, don't go. I held her back. I'll go and explain things to him. Noah stood up as well. I'll go down with you. That's fine. I nodded. Noah and I went downstairs together. The biting cold wind carried snowflakes that swept over us. Ethan's eyes lit up the moment he saw me, and he staggered over. Ava, you've finally agreed to see me. He reeked of alcohol, and his eyes were fanatical and obsessive. Ethan Joe, what exactly do you want? I stood a few steps away from him, my voice icy. Today is New Year's Eve. Please leave and don't disturb my family. I won't leave. Ethan shook his head stubbornly. Ava, I can't live without you. I know I was a jerk before. I shouldn't have been fooled by Olivia, but I swear, the person I love the most is you. Give me another chance, okay? He tried to get close to me, but Noah immediately stood in front of me, watching him warily. Ethan Joe, Ava has already made it very clear, Noah said in a deep voice. Please have some self-respect. Ethan's eyes became even more crazed and twisted as he watched Noah protect me. Opportunity? He suddenly laughed neurotically. You all want to see me make a fool of myself, right? You all think I have nothing left, right? I'm telling you, if I don't have it good, no one else will. He looked at me with a ferocious expression. Olivia, that bitch, did she think I really loved her? I already leaked her personal information and her high-interest loan debts to those debt collectors. She will soon be living a life worse than death. Ha ha ha. I looked at him in shock. He actually did such a thing, pushing his former beloved into the abyss? This person is completely insane. Just then, a sharp female voice cut through the snowy night. Ethan Joe, you bastard, may you die a horrible death. Olivia Moo rushed over. She looked even more disheveled than Ethan. Her hair was messy, her clothes were torn, and her face was filled with horror and resentment. She was probably driven to desperation by loan sharks and came to settle accounts with Ethan. Seeing me, Olivia immediately turned her attention to me. And you, Ava Chen, you bitch. It's all because of you. If it weren't for you, Ethan wouldn't treat me like this. She rushed towards me like a madwoman, trying to tear me apart. Ethan saw Olivia verbally abusing me and, as if a switch had been flipped, he suddenly turned around, grabbed Olivia's hair, and slammed her hard to the ground. You're not allowed to insult her. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot, looking like a madman, and he punched and kicked Olivia, who was lying on the ground. Bitch, it's all your fault for seducing me, ruining me. I'll beat you to death. His movements were fierce and crazy, completely losing his mind. Olivia let out a piercing scream. "Stop it." Noah immediately rushed forward to stop Ethan. The two men instantly wrestled together. The snowy ground was a scene of chaos. I was so scared that I was ice cold, and I immediately took out my phone and dialed the police number with trembling hands. The police arrived quickly. The chaotic scene was finally brought under control. Both Ethan and Noah were taken to the police station to make a statement. As for Olivia Moo, she was seriously injured, especially in the eyes, which were kicked by Ethan, a bloody mess, and she was rushed to the hospital. Later I heard that one of Olivia's eyeballs was shattered, resulting in permanent blindness. Ethan Joe was criminally detained for intentional injury. This farce on New Year's Eve ended in an extremely tragic way. Standing at the entrance of the police station, watching the police car speeding away, I only felt a burst of absent-mindedness and lingering fear. A cold wind blew, and I couldn't help but shiver. A warm coat was gently draped over me. It was Noah. He came out after giving his statement, his face still showing bruises from the fight. "It's okay, Ava." He looked at me, his eyes gentle and firm. "It's all over." I looked at him, my nose twinged, and tears fell. He didn't say much, just hugged me gently. That winter seemed particularly long. Ultimately, Ethan Joe was sentenced to 6 years in prison for intentional injury, while Olivia Moo was receiving treatment in the hospital. She was also arrested by the police on suspicion of crimes such as loan sharking fraud. Evil people will be punished for their evil deeds. And my life, after experiencing this turmoil, has finally completely returned to peace. Noah has been by my side, giving me warmth and support. His love wasn't like Ethan's, full of calculation and demands, but like a gentle stream, silently nourishing, yet full of strength. We naturally came together. 2 years later, Noah and I got married. The sun shone brightly on our wedding day. I wore a pure white wedding dress, took my father's arm, and walked towards Noah, who was standing at the end of the red carpet. He looked at me, his eyes filled with love and tenderness. Just as we were exchanging rings, out of the corner of my eye, I seemed to glimpse a familiar figure standing in the distance at the church entrance. It was Ethan Joe. He seemed to have just been released from prison, wearing ill-fitting old clothes, his hair a bit longer, with a complex and indescribable expression on his face. Watching me from afar, our eyes met briefly in the air. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he just twitched the corner of his mouth, showing a smile that was more awful than crying, then turned and disappeared into the crowd in loneliness. I withdrew my gaze and looked at Noah beside me. He held my hand tightly, as if telling me, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." I held his hand back, my heart filled with peace. Some people are destined to be just passers-by. People who don't cherish will eventually lose everything. And I have finally found my own happiness. True love is not about possession and control, but about respect, protection, and fulfillment. I didn't look back. The smile on Ethan's face froze. The world is quiet. Public opinion completely reversed.